Good afternoon. I'm Marielle for Forkable News, and I'm delighted to be back bringing you the best vegan news stories in a seemingly endless rotation of vintage blazers with a healthy dose of sarcasm. So without further ado, let's get right into today's good vegan news. I'm here now in Studio 1F. Our first story, European court strikes down bans on meat names for vegan food. If you feel like you're getting deja vu from this headline, it will all make sense in a minute. The European Court of Justice, ECJ, has struck down France's bid to ban the use of meaty terms on plant-based products. But the ruling applies beyond France, forbidding all EU member states from trying to introduce similar bans. A country can only stop plant-based products from using meat-based terms that already have a specific legal name, the ECJ judge ruled. Generic terms such as sausage, steak, or burger do not have strict legal definitions and so can be used to describe vegan food. The ruling comes after organizations including Protein France? I should really get back to my Duolingo. My bird is not doing very well. And the European Vegetarian Union, along with Beyond Meat, challenged the French government in its second attempt to introduce a ban through a decree. It had already tried once in 2022 and again this year in February. In April, France's top administrative court suspended the decree issued by the French government. It said there was a serious doubt over the legality of such a ban and that it would remain suspended until the ECJ could review it and make a final ruling. I covered that previous ruling in the April Good Vegan News from this year, so if it was ringing bells, that's probably why. Belgium had also considered bringing in a ban, but put it on hold earlier this year. Meat lobbyists and governments attempting to restrict the use of meaty names had argued that consumers could be confused by their use on plant-based products. But the ECJ said that consumers are already sufficiently protected from being misled by the use of meaty names on vegan food by EU law. However, if a food label or marketing is found to be misleading, member states can take action accordingly. I can't stand this phenomenon that's happening all over the world, mostly in Europe and the US, where governments are like, we're determined to protect our people from confusion. As if confusion as to whether a butter is made out of cashew or cow's milk is the greatest threat to their citizens. At least our tax dollars are going toward the important stuff, you know, protecting us from that big bad befuddlement. Obviously, we know what entities or organizations are usually behind attempting to get these bans passed, and I'll give you a hint, they're not organizations that tend to really care about whether consumers are confused unless it affects their bottom lines. We welcome the clarity given by the European Court of Justice in this judgment, Jasmine Debou, global CEO of ProVeg International, said in a statement. We now hope that the French court will take to heart what has been said about the disruption that a ban on meaty names for plant-based food would cause and dismiss the restriction accordingly. As I shared back in April, this is a topic I had at one point been planning to make a whole video about, made an entire outline on, never got my shit together to finish, and thanks to recent developments will probably remain in that great silverware pile in the cloud. Honestly, I knew there was a reason I never finished it, and now it all makes sense. Thank you, European Court of Justice, for striking down this ban and validating my procrastination. Next up, New York greenlights rat birth control to curb city's infestation. I can already hear people typing away to make a joke about putting tiny condoms on rats, so before you do, let me explain how it works. New York's seemingly eternal battle against its rodent population has taken a new twist after the city council approved pilot schemes to deploy rat contraceptives in a new effort to curb their booming population. The Thursday night vote means that in the next few months, pilot programs will begin using Contrapest, a type of rodent birth control that will be put in special containers aimed at encouraging the rats to ingest it. So to be clear, these are pellets that the rats eat. It doesn't cause them any pain or discomfort, but it targets their ability to reproduce. I first heard about the concept of rat birth control at the Catskill Animal Sanctuary. It made a lot of sense when they explained to me that killing actually isn't an effective form of population control. If you have 100 rats and you kill them down to 25, those 25 rats are just going to rapidly reproduce with each other. So using a rodent contraceptive is hypothetically a much better option and one that I've been trying to spread the word about. Especially living in a cold climate, rodent control is something that a lot of people deal with, and unfortunately often turn to incredibly inhumane ways of trapping and killing. I had been hoping New York City would consider this approach, and now, thankfully, they have. During such monthly inspections of the pilot program areas, the department shall track the amount of rat contraceptive in each rat contraceptive dispenser, the local bill said. The law was inspired inspired by the tragic death of the city's beloved but short-lived Flacco the owl, who escaped from captivity and seemed to be flourishing amid Manhattan skyscrapers until he died and was found with rat poison in his system. Rest in peace, Flacco. It truly is tragic that he died this way. But I can't help but flag the speciesism of people only caring about the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of rats that have died incredibly painful and inhumane deaths just because one preferred species animal died. New York's rat problem is known worldwide, even sparking a mini tourism industry around it, with people offering rat tours after becoming known on social media for posting videos of city rats swarming through the streets and subways. Last year, New York appointed its very own rat czar, Kathleen Karate, who was charged with getting a handle on what was dubbed public enemy number 1. The concept of rodent contraceptives, as far as I can tell, is still fairly new. There aren't that many companies that make it, not that many people know about it. So while this may be an experiment for New York City, the fact that they're giving it a shot and the fact that the story is garnering so much media attention is helping shine a light on more humane methods of pest control. And that, I think, is very good news. The next story was sent to me by my subscriber Brittany. Vegans removed from counter-terrorist material. You know how I've said before that sometimes good vegan news has a precursor of bad vegan news? This is one of those times. References to veganism have been removed from counter-terrorism training materials used for NHS staff after an intervention by the Vegan Society's legal expert. The organization's legal expert on human rights, Dr. Jeanette Rowley, challenged the NHS over veganism's inclusion in the training materials. PREVENT is the government's counter-terrorism program that aims to stop individuals from becoming radicalized. NHS staff are taught to look for warning signs of radicalization in patients. Dr. Rowley said in a statement that vegans and people transitioning to veganism had been caught in the net of counter-terrorism measures for behaving in normal ways for people who care about animals. The change to the materials is a critical step towards ensuring that ethical veganism, a protected belief, is not misrepresented or mischaracterized by public institutions, she said. I think we can go ahead and add this story to the list of vegans being severely misunderstood by society at large. But I guess we'll count it as a win that the NHS no longer considers us terrorists. Grab your best blazer and join me for a small cluster of fashion stories. Stella McCartney shows vegan leather and fluffy recycled knits in Paris. Stella McCartney's spring 2025 collection was realized with 91% sustainable materials, and several guests toted the new rider bag, a 100% vegan top handle style with a sloped back like a saddleless horse, one of the designer's favorite animals, though she loves them all, including birds. In a backstage scrum, McCartney said the "About Forking Time" slogan could apply to many things, but she surely intended a call to action on environmental issues. "For me, it's about forking time that we stopped killing animals for fashion," she said. About 1.5 billion birds are killed for fashion a year. For some reason, nobody likes cows, but birds, everybody loves birds. I see that Stella's employing the age-old vegan strategy. If you can't appeal to their logic or empathy, appeal to their cognitive dissonance. Hence, not a single feather was plucked from McCartney's collection. Instead, there were doves painted on airy silk dresses, prints crooning how they shouldn't cry, and puffball bomber jackets that truly resembled fluffy chicks. The designer explained they were made from recycled plastic bottles extruded into a cloud-like material. We're a very strange fashion house in a sense, because obviously we have sustainability and stopping animal cruelty at the core of everything that we do, and then you have to couple that with the fact that I'm a fashion designer and I want it to just look effortless and beautiful, she said. Stella McCartney's clothing line isn't completely vegan. Notably, it uses wool and silk, although has never used leather, feathers, fur, or skins, which for a high fashion brand is pretty unusual, dare I say unprecedented. So while they still have a ways to go to be completely cruelty-free, it's nice to see a spotlight on animal cruelty in fashion front and center at one of Paris Fashion Week's biggest events. I don't know if you've noticed, but so many luxury items and experiences in this world are rooted in animal exploitation. So while I personally am several tax brackets away from being able to afford a Stella McCartney mycelium leather handbag, it's nice to actually have something to aspire to. And I will say, that is one gorgeous bag. Next up, Ugg launches vegan boots. Thanks to a collaboration between Ugg and Kalina Strada, a New York-based fashion label, the wait for vegan Ugg boots is finally over. Available in 8 different styles ranging from the classic Ugg mini platform to ruffled and thigh-high varieties, these new animal-free shoes are priced between $160 and $220. Ugg and Kalina Strada have refrained from marketing the collection as vegan, but instead of using animal-derived materials, the brands utilized Tencel polyester micro microfiber, and sugarcane to help create these innovative boots. Currently, the collection is available for purchase online via the Ugg and Kalina Strada websites and at select retailers. Not only are these new Ugg boots completely vegan, they also follow the tried and true tradition of vegan shoes being really ugly. I know that's a joke I made verbatim in a previous Good Vegan News video, but hey, if the shoe fits, call it ugly? I mean, at least they're living up to the name of the brand, am I right? Like, this has to be a joke. Ugg finally makes vegan boots and they look like this, and then Veg News has the audacity to say the wait for vegan Ugg boots is finally over. I don't know what happens. It's like a screw gets loose in a designer's mind and they're like, oh, we gotta make something without any animal materials? Oh, I know. Let's make it look like a unicorn from a Lisa Frank illustration ate a pair of regular Uggs, threw it up, and then buried it in the garden. It's a psychological phenomenon that honestly needs to be studied. And I don't want to hear you be like, but there are cute shoes. Check out Will's Vegan Store. I know there are cute vegan shoes, but my God, there's a lot of ugly ones too. I have to say though, I am really grateful to this story for leading me to the Kalina Strada website. You see, because I have been searching high and low for a corduroy bungee belt, and now, as long as I fork over $380, I can be the proud owner of one. Look, maybe I'm being too hard on them. Just like there's a pot for every lid, so too is there probably a foot for every boot. They are made of recycled materials, which is obviously great, but honestly, I'd probably rather just stick my foot in the recycling bin, pull it out, and then walk around with whatever happens to get stuck to it than wear these. But that's just me personally. Let me know, would you spend $220 on these? Okay, full disclosure, after I wrote this whole part of the video, I actually discovered that Ugg did come out with their own line of vegan shoes in 2022, and they're really cute. Oh, sorry, did I say really cute? What I meant to say was really ugly. Like, they must be trolling us, right? This has to be a joke. They're like, oh, you want vegan Uggs, do you? Okay, here you go. Like, you can't make this shit up. You can't. I'm not lying. Let's move on. Those Vegan Cowboys unveil animal-free casein superior to bovine casein. This is a great story, but what I was most shocked to see was that it was being reported in Dairy Reporter. When a website called Dairy Reporter is doing a story on a company called Those Vegan Cowboys, and it's not a hit piece, it's actually just reporting on the story, color me shocked and pleasantly surprised. But since this website is locked down to the point of me not even being able to copy and paste from it, we're going to pull from the plant-based news article. Belgian food tech company Those Vegan Cowboys has launched an animal-free casein made with precision fermentation that is said to make vegan cheese stretch and melt like dairy cheese. They make it by fermenting microbes in a stainless steel tank named Margaret, after the former British Prime Minister known as the Iron Lady. It plans to launch its own cheese using the casein next year, as well as collaborate with other companies. According to Those Vegan Cowboys, its fermentation method is 5 times more efficient than cows on water and land use and greenhouse gas emissions. It says that its cow-free casein paves the way for healthier cheese, free of lactose, bad cholesterol, and saturated fats. Cheese made with its casein is reportedly 5 times more stretchy than that made with casein from cows. Regulatory approval is still needed for most of the new caseins to come to market. In Europe, the casein made by Those Vegan Cowboys counts as a novel food and must go through an approval process. Vegan cheese company New Culture was the first to gain regulatory approval in February when it attained GRAS status from the US Food and Drug Administration. This is really exciting news, but is it just me that feels like every few months I read a story about how some company has scientifically concocted the stretchiest, most realistic vegan cheese ever, and then every time I go to the store it's just like, BioLife. Dia. Like, love them, grateful for them, but I'm just getting a little impatient. And I can't wait for the day when I can not only report on these stories, but also taste them. Our next story is so freaking cool and really embodies progress. Life-sized mechanical elephant arrives at Indian temple. An Indian temple has been gifted a life-size mechanical elephant named Niranjana for use in ceremonies after pledging to never own or hire live elephants. PETA India, Compassion Unlimited Plus Action, and actor Samyukta Hornad gifted Niranjana the mechanical elephant to the Sri Siddhalingeshwara Swami Temple in Udayar, Kunagal Taluk, Tamkur district. It is the first muzrai or government temple to use one. Technological innovation enables us to preserve our deep cultural traditions and heritage while also allowing captive elephants to live with their families, said Ramalinga Reddy, Karnataka's state minister of Muzrai and Transport, in a statement. It gives me great joy to support this mechanical lifelike elephant, which will ensure that devotees can participate in festivals and rituals in a safe and animal-friendly manner. Like the Nadaswaram, elephants are a part of India's cultural and religious traditions. Mechanical elephants like Niranjana are a unique and animal-friendly way to keep these traditions alive without harming real wildlife. According to PETA India, training elephants to participate in processions involves forcing them into submission, while those held captive for use in temples can suffer from painful problems with their feet and legs. Captive animals also frequently lash out, killing humans. These compassionate alternatives will not only allow endangered elephants to live with their families in the wild, it's good for people too in the longer run. This won't take away the old cultural tradition, said Hornad. All we take away is bullhooks, pain, and misery of elephants. Cultural tradition tends to be a big sticking point for a lot of people in their reasons to not go vegan. And when you add religion into that, it gets even more tricky, especially when it involves ceremonies using animals. I strongly believe that cultural and religious traditions can be preserved without harming animals, and this story is a really strong example of that. This temple and the decision they've made has really set a precedent and could potentially have a domino effect. So I wish the people of the Sri Siddhalingeshwara temple many happy celebrations with Niranjana. And now for a few delicious forkfuls. 90% of patients satisfied with NYC's plant-based hospital meals scheme. New York City Health Plus Hospitals scheme for plant-based meals has received overwhelming support from patients and led to reduced food costs and emissions. In a previous Good Vegan News video, we learned of the existence of this program, and now we're hearing how it's doing. Half of all patients in New York City's public hospitals chose to eat vegan meals since Mayor Eric Adams' Plant-Based by Default scheme was launched in 2022, and almost all of them were satisfied with the food. The program has served over 1.2 million vegan meals and has received overwhelming support, with 90% of patients satisfied with their choice of eating plant-based and just 5% requesting an alternative meal, according to a study published in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine. It's wonderful to see this program has been so well received, and here's hoping other hospital systems take note. Vegan brand La Vie says pigs and ham can be friends in new ad. We've done a few stories about La Vie ham on here before, and they really just keep making headlines. La Vie has released a new TV advert for its vegan ham to coincide with World Animal Day. The French alternative protein brand is well known for its quirky and innovative approach to advertisements of all kinds, and this 40-second TV spot titled Duel is no exception. It features a man making and eating a ham sandwich while a small pig sits opposite him at the dining table. Dramatic music plays as the man eats the sandwich and makes eye contact with the pig until the words "relax, it's plant-based" appear on the screen. I recommend watching the ad in full. It's really effective, it really strikes an emotional chord. The only thing I wish is that they had included a shot of the man petting or cuddling the pig at the end. That's all that was missing for me. Like, I need a good pig cuddle to really seal in the message of the ad, but other than that, no notes. Victoria's Secret ditches feathers for beautiful handcrafted faux feathers for iconic fashion show return. This story is a nice encore to the earlier Stella McCartney story. In a major victory for ethical fashion, retail brand Victoria's Secret has confirmed that its upcoming fashion show will feature only faux feathers. The decision comes ahead of the highly anticipated show, which is returning for the first time since 2019 and will include performances by Tyla, Lisa from Blackpink, and headliner Cher. Instead, this year's fashion show will see the models adorned with golden wings made from beautiful handcrafted faux feathers to bring an icon of the past into the new world. In previous years, Victoria's Secret used as many as 620,000 feathers in a single show, sourcing them from chickens, Chinese pheasants, and ostriches. The brand's commitment to using only beautiful handcrafted faux feathers has been praised by PETA, which has long campaigned against the cruelty involved in the feather trade. In some ways, nothing could feel more outdated than the Victoria's Secret fashion show, but it's nice to see that, if we must bring it back, at least we're leaving the exploitation of 620,000 feathers worth of birds in the past where it belongs. Beyond the original orange chicken expands to more Panda Express locations. Just a few months ago, we had a story about Panda Express bringing back the Beyond Orange chicken, but only for a limited time and only to certain locations. Well, now it appears it's expanding to 300 more locations. At the time, I remarked how good vegan news stories often have an asterisk, so it's nice to see that with this story at least, the asterisk has gotten a little bit smaller. And that's it for today's Good Vegan News. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and let us know what you thought of today's stories. For more Forkable content, be sure to subscribe, and for even more from me, check out Patreon, where you can join me for weekly live chats and get exclusive content like videos and podcast episodes. Again, I'm Marielle for Forkable News. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Oh.